Welcome, everybody. This is an amazing morning to start talking about productivity. Who loves to be productive on Saturday morning? Raise your hand if I can see it. Welcome to this Limitless Power Coach webinar about productivity in challenging times. Today, we're going to be covering a few interesting topics that are related to that productivity. How easy it is to be productive in challenging times. Have you ever wondered why you are just seated at home doing nothing at times? What's causing that productivity to slump whenever we are experiencing some different challenges in our lives, whether it's because of COVID or any other situation that we're experiencing, especially here in the Philippines? What can we do to boost that productivity, and what can we do to change how we see productivity in general? Today's session will be covered by a few topics, and we will start off with commitment, then we'll pick up with organization, prioritization, time management, and consistency. The reason why I structured the agenda this way will be revealed by the end of the session, and why it's essential to follow through on those steps. But before I do that, I have a confession to make, just a little tiny confession. I love procrastination. Anybody else? If you love procrastination, let me know in the chat box. I'm excited to hear from the fellow procrastinators. Not because procrastination gives us the opportunity to give excuses, but because I have developed dramatically ever since I spent time procrastinating. Procrastination brought me new developments and new understanding on how I can improve and how I can trick my mind into thinking more productively. There are several things that I always think about whenever procrastination comes along and how it hits me. And one thing that I did discover during those moments of procrastination, that I can find better ways and more efficient ways to be productive. So it gives me more time to do what I love more. Procrastination comes from perspective of doing something that's about to happen that you're not a big fan of. So I learn how to develop myself so that I can develop my own skills in a way that suits me better. So I don't go against myself or against my own mindset. Procrastination can be a two-edged sword. It can be a great help because it will give you relief and it will give you opportunity to think about something that you love. But on the other hand, it will also provide you negative side effects, which might lead to a downward spiral and bring you to the moments of less productivity. How can we overcome that procrastination, and how can we get our mindset in the right direction? Well, we always start with commitment. We will discover the impact that commitment has on your life and on my life, and how it transforms the promise into reality. Some experts define commitment as both willingness to persist in a course of action and hesitancy to change plans, often owing to a sense of obligation to stay the course. Commitment reveals itself in a specific behavior. For example, people devote time and energy to fulfill their on-the-job responsibilities, as well as their family, community, personal, and spiritual obligations. Commitment also has an emotional component. People usually experience and express positive feelings towards an entity or an individual, and the fact that they're making that commitment to that individual. Commitment has also a rational element, something that's based on reason and logic. Most people knowingly decide to make commitments. And because of that, they thoughtfully plan and carry out the actions required to fulfill them. Because commitments require an investment of time as well as mental and emotional energy, most people make them with expectation of reciprocation. Now that is, of course, if you receive in exchange for that commitment something in return. Can you guess what that is? Favors, expectations, gifts, money. What do you think would be the best part there? Which one do you prefer? Favors, affection, gifts, attention, goods, or money? Which one do you like the most? Let me know in the chat box. I'm excited to hear about it. A committed you is best for the long term of your work or any business. Here are some tips for you having yourself committed to working. First, work when you're at most productive. You will discover ways that nobody sprints through their work from morning till evening. Have you ever had a day of your life where you were working from morning till evening without getting tired or without feeling like giving up? Your motivation will naturally rise and fall throughout the day. It's even more important to know those ups and downs will take place and then plan your schedule around those. To take advantage of your most productive periods, make it harder or save your harder tasks for when you will be at the right headspace for them. Use slower points of the day to knock out the easier logical tasks that are also easy to solve. There is a magazine called Verily, and they call these tasks small acts of success. And they can help build up your momentum for heavier projects that are waiting for you later. Don't make excuses though. To meet your objectives, you can consider the fact that a complacent person will only do what is asked of them. On the other hand, a committed person will do that and more in order to meet their objectives and goals. They are self-motivated and set targets higher than is expected of them. For a committed person, like yourself, goals are not just a number, date, or target. It's a vision and a journey for yourself and for people around you. This is the crucial part right here. Bring fun to work. Put it in simple words. A committed person brings fun to work, whether it's in the office or at home. Commitment brings ownership and more creativity to the tasks. Committed person thrives on new and innovative ideas, and it's fun for them to implement such ideas time and time again. Have fun doing your work, because then it's not going to be work anymore. You're going to enjoy what you do for a prolonged period of time. This is one of the crucial elements here, is to add value. Commitment to work brings in value addition through active participation in discussion with clients. Committed people bring great ideas to the table, and they're always happy to help others visualize those ideas. A client needs commitment and dedication from you to achieve their goals. This applies to any work environment. That can be work from home, freelance work, any productivity work related to your company or to your, if you own a company or you have your own business, you can apply the same principle. Now that we have commitment, we need to get ourselves organized. Is it easy for you to organize yourself daily? What is your structure of a work day or a regular day or any day? Do you have a structure in your day? Whenever your professional and personal lives happen, you need to take care to organize that space in a way that is beneficial to productivity of both parts of your life. There are 4 steps that you can take to organize yourself better. This applies on work from home environment and also office environment. And the first step will be to be mindful. Be mindful of where you get the best work done and what type of environment you thrive in creatively. That will save you a lot of time in planning out your day and allow you to get to work quicker. This also means recognizing the type of work that you'll be doing that day. A day full of phone calls will require a much different environment than a day spent writing or strategizing. The second part of this is to structure your day. To stay on schedule, segment what you'll do and when over the course of the day. If you have an online calendar, create personal events and reminders that tell you when to shift gears and start on new tasks. Remember about commitment and about heavier tasks? You can really structure it that way. Create a schedule that you feel good about, that challenges you, but also plays to your strengths in your own productivity or productive day creation. Sure, certain studies can claim that productivity peaks during certain times of the day and after certain activities, but everyone's habits are different. People can be successful on their own rhythm. You may have heard all these gurus suggesting that you wake up at 3 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. That doesn't work for everybody. Really consider what works best for you. This is crucial, important, significant, call it anything you want. Make it harder for yourself to mess around social media. They design social media to make it easy for you to open it and play around with it. Anybody guilty here of playing around on social media way too often? Give me a thumbs up if that's the case. At work, this convenience can damage your productivity. To counteract your social network's ease of use during work hours, there are a few options that you can take. You can remove them from your browser shortcuts or log out entirely from all of them. For example, if you're using Chrome or Firefox or any other modern browser, maybe even Safari, choose incognito browser window. This guarantees that you stay signed out of all your social media accounts, and each web search that you do, because you might have to do it for your work, doesn't autocomplete the words that you write, that you type. It's a guarantee that you won't be tempted into taking too many social breaks in the day. There are two apps that I typically recommend that can help you prevent doing unnecessary things. One is called Cold Turkey. After this session, I will actually post the names so that you will be able to find them. They're both free of charge, by the way. Cold Turkey actually boosts productivity and help you reclaim your free time by blocking distracting websites, games, and applications. I'm not an endorser of Cold Turkey, so disclaimer over. And the second one is an extension for Chrome called Stay Focused. It just limits the amount of time that you can spend on time-wasting websites. Remember, I will post them at the end of the session so you will be aware on how to find them. Remember, stay focused and improve productivity by staying away and limiting yourself from social media. The last part would be to plan out what you'll be working ahead of time. Are you doing that regularly? Do you plan your day on the evening beforehand? Do you plan your week on a Sunday? Do you plan what you're going to be achieving that week? I do, and it works amazingly. If you're trying to figure out what you'll do today that can take away from productivity, you will be able to better narrow down and figure out what you need to do. You'll have planned your task list so that it can tempt you to change or make changes on the fly, which is a challenge if you do it on the spot. It's important to let your agenda change if you need to. Don't misunderstand, it's not set in stone. But it's as important to commit to that agenda that outlines every assignment before you begin. Try to solidify your schedule the day before, making it feel more official when you wake up the next day to get started on it. It's not as difficult as you might think. It requires no more than 10 to 15 minutes of structuring your following day. And you can do it, test it out, and apply it the way you see fit. Once we have all these organized, it's time to figure out which one should we do first. Is it easy for you to decide which task that you need to do is higher or lower priority? Is it easy as just clapping your hands or snapping your fingers? The process of prioritizing allows you to make right decisions about what you need to do, what you don't need to do, and when you need to work on certain tasks. This all allows you to make the right decision. And I have divided it into 4 significant steps that you can take. And the first one would be capturing everything on a master list. Prioritization happens on different levels. You have the tasks that need to be done today. You have the goals for the entire week. And the accomplishments that would make you feel like the past month has been success. Unfortunately, those lists don't always match up. It's always easy to default to what seems urgent today and ignore the fact that it isn't getting you any closer to bigger priorities. Before you can learn how to prioritize your daily work, you need to get everything down in one place. And as I have put up this little picture of the master list, start by making it that way. It can be a document, an app, or a piece of paper where every current and future task will be stored. Once you have all your tasks together, it's time to break them down into monthly, weekly, and daily goals. Just follow the structure here that I have presented in the slide, and that will bring you closer to figuring out what to do next. In the next step, it's essential to separate the urgent from important. It's all well and good to say that you should learn how to prioritize work that brings you the most result. But how do you do that? How do you decide which one is bigger priority? In some cases, it will come down to experience. You may have been in the industry that you're working at for many years and you have just figured it out along the way. But when you're unsure, I would highly recommend that you use the Eisenhower matrix. For me, it's a perfect tool to use. It was developed by the former US President, Dwight Eisenhower. And this matrix is a simple 4-quadrant box that has answers that help you separate urgent tasks from the important ones. In basic terms, urgent tasks are things you feel like you need to react to right away, like emails, phone calls, texts, or even news. While important tasks are ones that contribute to your long-term mission, values, and goals. When you're looking at how to prioritize tasks best, ask which one of the quadrant they best fit in, and then deal with them accordingly. You might see the importance going on a y-axis and urgency going on the x-axis. Well, let's look at the first sample. If the task is urgent and important, you might place it in the box right here, which means that you should do those tasks right away. If the task is important but not urgent, decide when you'll do these tasks and schedule them for later. And then if you move to the right side and look at the task that is urgent but not important, try to delegate that task. If those tasks are delegatable, share them with somebody else and ask somebody else to help you out. If those tasks are falling under the last quadrant, which is neither important nor urgent, just drop them from your schedule as soon as possible. Now that we have figured out which ones are important, we need to figure out how to separate them. We are always clustering them, putting them together. How do you know the true importance of that task? The biggest unknown when it comes to how to prioritize is differentiating between tasks that feel like they're on the same level of importance. Did you ever had a task or 2 tasks that are equal important? If you did, I would highly recommend this method that was created by Brian Tracy, and he calls it the ABCDE method. It works wonders. Instead of keeping all the tasks on a single level of priority, this method offers 2 or more levels for each task. Here's how it works. Remember the master list and then the urgent and important list? Go through that list and give every task letters like A, B, and C. I typically don't go beyond C, as you can see it here. I stick to A, B, and C only. If you feel the need to add the D and E, by all means, do it. Remember, A is the highest priority. For every task that has an A, give it a number, which indicates the order you'll do it in. And then repeat the tasks, all the tasks that have letters and numbers. So you can see the unsorted list on the left. In the middle, you will have sorting by A, B, and C. And here's how you can apply it even further. Imagine that Eisenhower matrix, and you had several tasks that were in the urgent and important quadrant. So you will probably place them in A. Now that you have done that, it might be challenging to decide, but you still need to make a decision. Which one of those urgent and important tasks has the biggest priority? And then mark them like A1, A2, and A3. And then you can place the important but not urgent tasks in B, and then urgent but not important in C. And you can probably consider outsourcing them the right way. The last step of this element is setting the tone of the day by eating the frog. How many of you are familiar with this method? Have you ever eaten a frog at the beginning of the day? Let me know in the chat box. I'm excited to hear whether anybody's familiar with this term. Once you prioritize your most important work in whatever method you chose from the three, or you follow them consecutively, it's time to choose how to attack the day. Which means if you wake up in the morning or you wake up in the afternoon, whatever shift you're working on, how you start the day sets the tone of the rest of that day. And often getting a large, hairy, yet important task out of the way first thing gives you momentum, inspiration, and energy to keep moving. That's why a huge number of productivity experts suggest spending time on your most important task, or the MIT. And that should be done right away each day. Mark Twain famously wrote this, and therefore the term, if you have to eat a live frog, it does not pay to sit and look at it for a very long time. I find this statement profound and funny and entertaining at the same time. When thinking about how to prioritize your daily work, try to include one of these frogs at the top of your list. Priorities are great, but remember to be realistic about how much work you can do each day. Do you know why? Well, because our days are limited in time. Our days are the same. We all have 24 hours. It's important to uncover how great time management skill allows you to be productive, make progress, and keep control over your stress and energy levels. And to do that, I have 3 superb ideas that you can apply to figure out how to do it. There are 1,000 minutes every day to make things happen. Do you know how long is a minute? All right, start. It's only 20 seconds and you're already like, what's going to happen? Of course, the minute can be a lot longer than you think if you just pay attention to it. There is something that all of us, you, me, and everybody around us has in common. And that's time. It's our #1 asset, and we only have 24 hours in any given day. We got those 24 hours, and if you break them down into minutes, they equally amount to about 1,000. You can do the math. It's actually 960 minutes, but it wouldn't make sense, does it? If I said 960-minute rule. The 1,000-minute rule was actually coined by Ryan Serhant, one of the most popular and highly successful billion-dollar brokers from New York in US. It's essential that you start by auditing your time. Audit your day. What are you wasting your time on? What do you spend just 30 minutes on? What do you spend an hour on? I want you to take hold of those 1,000 minutes, and I want you to do better with them. Remember, time is the most valuable currency on this world. Not money, not gold, not silver, not platinum, time. To make myself understand that and keep repeating it to myself, I wake up every day and I am rich with time. I make the decisions on how I'm going to use this currency, the most valuable currency, and I don't want to waste it. I want to be excited on what I spend my time on. I want you to switch your mindset. Don't wake up rich with money. Wake up rich with time, and you will feel that much happier. Think about it. You have a piece of paper next to you or your phone? Write it out. I am rich with time. I am rich with time. Put it next to your bed, so every morning when you wake up, you will be reminded that you are the CEO of your bank of time every day. It might sound weird, it might sound crazy, but if you start thinking about your day that way, it will change everything for you. The 1,000 minutes that I had today are way better than the ones that I had 10 years ago. That's because I spent those 1,000 minutes 10 years ago preparing who I'm gonna be today for future me. Keep that in mind. You are the CEO of your bank of time. Once you have a hold of those 1,000 minutes, it's time to look into a practice that Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Cal Newport, among many, are using to keep their schedule organized. They're using the technique called time boxing. Time boxing or time blocking is the practice of setting a fixed amount of time for each task you must do and integrating those blocks into your daily schedule. The simplest way to do it is to write out your daily plan entirely. You can write it on a whiteboard, on a piece of paper or notebook, and just estimate the time that each of the tasks is going to take. Don't put it on the calendar yet. Just allocate approximate amount of time. If something is going to say take maybe 20 minutes, then I'm going to move on to the next thing and then keep on going down the list. If you're somebody who is like me, who doesn't have a lot of fixed schedule commitments, then start and stop at specific times can work well because you can choose. You're your own boss. You choose when your daily schedule will be allocated. If you're going to use this technique successfully, then the number one thing you're going to need to learn is how to properly estimate how long tasks are going to take. Avoid the temptation to overschedule your day. Maybe we all want to become overachievers. Maybe we all want to succeed to the nth level. If you have difficult work on your plate that requires a lot of intense concentration and creativity, sometimes that might take you a whole day or half a day. Don't try to squeeze in everything into a single point or a single day. Maybe it's not going to be as fruitful as you expected. The more you try, the less you accomplish. Take advantage of the productivity benefits. And here's why. And here's how you can do even better. Many people forget to take breaks. I'm number one there. I used to think that I should not stop until the work is done. And that's correct. But take those breaks. It's easy to get distracted that some of us might forget about breaks or just decide and say no to breaks. Don't let the guilt of not working prevent you from taking 5 minutes to relax. It's just 5 minutes. Rather than just opening up YouTube and watching some comfort clips, cat videos, use those breaks to get away from your desk. Go for a walk. Even if you cannot go outside of your house, just walk around the house. Do something that will separate you from your desk. Or if you're back in the office already, just take a walk around the hallway. Stretch your legs and clear your mind. No Facebook, no social media. Just take a clear walk. Maybe splash your face. I call that moment AFK, away from keyboard. The moment I finish a portion of the task, if it's more than 30 minutes already, I'll step away from the keyboard. And once we have completed this time, the last crucial element here is consistency. It means doing something on a regular basis without exception. Without exception. To achieve this level of consistency, it's also important to be flexible and assume that you're going to encounter failure. We're all humans. Of course, there are going to be some missed days. You're going to have the days when you can't find motivation. Nobody wakes up every day, 365 days a year, and just go and go and go. Even Tony Robbins, one of the most motivated people in this world, says the same thing. Everybody has good and not so good days. The key is not to let that be a reason for you to give up. Instead, forgive yourself and try again until the new behavior becomes habitual and those bumps in the road become less frequent. Practicing consistency also means making sure you have truly become consistent in the application of the new behavior before adding one. Consistency on its face takes time. To be consistent, you must replicate positive behavior or performance day after day after day until it defines you. It's a lot like building a habit. And I got 4 clear ways that you can use to build it up and build that consistency. The first one would be to isolate one goal. Developing consistency goes against human nature. It's burdensome, especially at first. It takes a lot of energy, a finite source. Don't make the process even more challenging by trying to do much all at once. The trick is to pick one goal to focus at a time. What's your biggest issue? What's your most damaging inconsistency? Start there, work at it, stabilize, then move on to the next goal. Focus on incremental improvement. You're not going to develop a positive, worthwhile habit overnight. Have you ever developed one habit overnight? You just went to bed and you said, okay, tomorrow I'll be waking up at 5:30 and I will wake up 5:30 until the end of the year. Did you ever do that? Our brains don't work that way. In fact, new research declares that it could take you months to permanently change your behavior. Months. That's a lot of patience and focus. That's a lot of work. Allow yourself to notice and celebrate the small wins, the incremental improvements that you achieve along the way. That will keep you motivated. Fight your emotions. The brain is a taxing organ. It uses a lot of energy, which is why sometimes we feel mentally sluggish or lazy, especially when we face challenges like consistency. Sometimes we are really tired. Sometimes it's a biological trick. Don't fall for it. Push forward. Fight your emotions. If you don't, you'll stay stuck. The last piece of this puzzle, forgive your failures. That said, you are human, imperfect like the rest of us. We're all humans. As you pursue your consistency goals, you will get tired. You will stumble. You might skip a day in the gym. You might miss a deadline. You'll arrive late at the meeting. Whatever your goal may be, you're bound to misstep from time to time. And that's okay. It's okay. Slipping on your habit doesn't make you a failure. It makes you normal. What separates top performers from everyone else is what will get you back on track clearly. A consistency expert, James Clear, said that. And I just love how he comprised that. Forgive your failures and keep moving forward. What else you can do? Consistency breeds trust, especially at work. Consistent people are dependable and predictable, comforting to colleagues and customers alike. It is a very fine quote that I always remind myself of. Live your goals without your goals controlling your life. Live your goals without your goals controlling your life. Now that we have covered these, you might be wondering, how does that apply to my own life? What can I do next? What can I do to help myself? Well, that's why we have the Q&A portion. At this point, the questions that you have posted in the chat box, I'll be answering them along the way, or in case you have some additional questions, I will be also encouraging you to either unmute yourself and ask the question live, or you can just post it in the chat box. We will have a few minutes allocated for that, so please do your best to post those questions right away. Joy mentioned that I think once in a while we love to procrastinate. Yes, absolutely, Joy. It gives that refreshing feeling, as long as it's once in a while. Whenever you think about what can be the possible questions, or what can you do in your life, or what can you do to achieve things, I'll give you an idea. Maybe I can provide you even some bonus tips. While I'm waiting for your questions, here's bonus tip number 1. Do a productivity audit. Perform a quick mental audit of when you get your best ideas and have the most momentum. Maybe you get the most of your best ideas at night after the sun goes down. Other remote workers or people who are working from home or even from the other side thrive early in the morning. BPO-centered people, for sure. Neither habit is better or worse than the other. When you're accomplishing all of your work, meeting your deadlines and creating a schedule you feel good about, that's where you can consider the day a win. Joe is asking, how do you motivate yourself when procrastination sets in? I don't. If you try to go against yourself, it will never work. That's the hard truth. That doesn't mean there is no solution to it. So here's what you can do. Whenever that sets in and you start feeling like it's not going to work, or I'm just not going to do anything today, what I will do is I will go back to something that I enjoy doing, that I already started but never finished. And it's as casual as non-work related project, something that I like to do as a hobby. Maybe it's some graphic design work that I was working on. Maybe it's designing a website. Maybe it's something else. I already started working on it, so I know that I stopped somewhere along the way. Plus, I enjoy doing it because it provides a relief for my mindset. What I will do, then I will spend additional time working on it. Within 15 to 30 minutes, I won't even notice that I got into the flow. The moment that 30 minutes expires, or even 1 hour, I will be in the flow, in the working flow, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, I'm back to normal, and I'll keep on going. That's only one of the ways. I'll have the details at the end of the session so you can get in touch with me through LinkedIn or through email, and we can discuss it further. Jen is saying that they said it is important to get at least 8 hours sleep, but successful people declare they usually don't. What is your take on this? Those successful people are fraction of a percent of the highly successful people. And they still do sleep. Some of them may not sleep more than 7 hours. Some of them sleep 6 hours. All the highly successful people still sleep well. Anybody else that says that they sleep only 4 hours and they achieve a lot, don't live long enough. All the successful people that you might see on TV, on YouTube, anywhere online on social media that are 60, 70, 80 years old, they sleep. Tony Robbins sleeps 8 hours a day. Warren Buffett sleeps 8 hours a day. Jeff Bezos sleeps 8 hours a day. Maybe less, maybe more, depending on the occasion. If they're in the flow, if they're doing something, they might sleep. Those who are saying that they don't usually sleep 8 hours, that's okay. I don't sleep 8 hours. I found a somewhat perfect ideal rate for me, and I would tend to sleep about 6.5 to 7 hours on average. And if I really want to get a good sleep, I will not go beyond 7 hours and 30 minutes. That's more than enough, because I would typically go to bed about 11 or 11:30, and I will wake up at 6:45. Every day my alarm rings at 6:45, and that's it. My day starts. See for yourself. Test out different approaches. Whether you go to bed early or late, it doesn't matter. What matters is the amount of time. But try to limit yourself first to 8 hours. If you really need to sleep 10 hours because you haven't slept well in the past few days, then sure. But try to not cross more than 8 hours. There are medical researches that are showing the negative effects of oversleeping also. And the more you sleep, the more you feel sleepy. Have you ever felt that, Jem? Do you ever feel the longer you sleep, the more sleepy you feel? Try to cut it. And cut it down to 8 hours and then see how it functions well for you. Roxanne is asking how to better manage time when you're a freelancer and a coach at the same time while managing household chores. That's an amazing question. And that is resonating fairly well with me. Even though I'm not really a freelancer, I have a few companies and I'm part of other companies also. But I also manage household chores because I have an 11-month-old baby. I have an infant, so I have to dedicate my time there. Time boxing really works well for me, and I plan everything around that. So I will use that time boxing to structure my days. I get up early in the morning for that fact so that I can dedicate early morning hours for study, for acquiring new skills, or doing something that's crucial, like eating that frog. And then I will switch on to maybe a household chore, maybe spend some time with my kid, and then I will move on to the next part. And I will always box it probably 30-minute increments, 45-minute to 1-hour increments. It's essential that you take those breaks every 30 minutes, 5-minute break. Just get off your table, get off whatever you're doing, go to the restroom, splash your face, get some breath of fresh air, 5 minutes, stretch, do something out of the ordinary, and then move on. How do you set days or a specific schedule that you do not spend time with mobile, TV, or laptop? Well, the first thing is I stay away from my cell phone most of the day. I typically don't answer phone calls. My phone is always on silent. I respond to messages as soon as I get to the phone. I keep it away from my reach so that I don't get tendency to go on and do stuff. I don't watch TV at all. I watch movies, but that's not really considered TV. I don't watch random TV on like cable and stuff. And I don't even have time for movies as much anymore because when I structure my day right, and if I want to be as productive as possible, I will not limit myself from taking a break. So for example, if the most important one to eliminate is your mobile. Unless you are a frontliner, unless you are a medical worker or something, and you really need to be next to your phone, you don't need your phone. You don't need your phone 24/7 next to you. You can get rid of it. Just leave it somewhere where you cannot reach it. My original suggestion to everybody, and something that I've tested out with my wife also, is we keep our cell phones out of the bedroom. How easy was that? It took us weeks to accomplish it because you're always afraid that you will miss something. No, you won't. The world is not going to end. Try it out. Go to bed tonight without your phone in the bedroom. Leave it in the kitchen. Leave it in the living room. Leave it anywhere away from yourself. And don't say, oh, but my phone serves as an alarm. You can buy a cheap alarm for 100 pesos and just put it next to your bed and it will ring, or put it away from you so you have to get out of bed and wake up that way. I don't stay away from the computer because I learn, I study every day, and it's essential for me to spend time with it because I love developing new skills. And if I learn to control how I take that approach by taking mandatory breaks, the AFKs, and I will spend 1 hour away from all the technology every day at least, or I will do it twice or thrice a day, then I'm okay. I don't need to limit it. Unless you are next to your computer and watching YouTube all day. But that is always a solution for that. Joyce comments, I think if they sleep less than 8 hours, but the quality of their sleep is at its best, maybe for them it's having the same 8 hours of sleep too? Probably. Some of them, there are a few ways that they can accomplish certain things. And I've tested a different approach. When I had more work, when I was in a corporate world, and when I was constricted in a general management position in a hotel, I worked about 10, 12 hours a day. What was happening is because of all the work overload, I slept about 6 hours a day. And what I tested out was power naps. Power naps helped me a lot to overcome that period. It's difficult to get a grasp of it right away. It's 15-minute naps, but it's instant. I train my brain to fall asleep almost instantly. I will just separate myself. I had a small room in the hotel where I will just not necessarily even lay back, just put my head back and I will fall asleep instantly and I will wake up within 15 minutes. I will set my alarm to wake up within 15 minutes. And that will help me refresh and keep going. But it's not healthy in the long run. Do more research and see what suits you best. There is no one size fits all, as they say. There is no one recipe or one formula that can help everybody succeed. Try it out, test it out, take note of it. It's essential that you take note of it. What gets measured gets improved. If you don't measure it, if you don't keep track of it, it won't work. After I started keeping track of all those, even my sleep, I realized that I became more knowledgeable and more understanding to how my day is structured. All right, it's 9:58. We have time for one more question. If anybody else has a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask or just post it in the chat box. Thank you also to Joy, Jem, and Roxanne for asking the questions. Yes, they're amazing questions, and I used to ask myself that every single day a few years ago, but I found my way around it. I listened to my brain sometimes, and then I didn't. And once I found the way between the two, I found my flow. That's the last best portion that you can take in. Find your own flow. Everybody has different mindset. Everybody has similarities and differences that you can take. When you consider all those, figure out what suits you best. Make sure that you plan it out, that it fits into your work-life harmony. That work-life harmony will bring peace to everything that you do. The reason why I call it work-life harmony is not because I invented it, but because I adopted that mindset also, especially knowing the Filipino culture. And if you are to choose between work and family, 99% of people that I spoke with choose family. So balancing it out will never work. You have to sacrifice one for another. If you find a way to make it into a harmonious part, then that's what's going to happen. Because work is part of your life. You cannot say, oh, work is something else. It's not my life. Well, it is. So find your flow. Find what works best for you and then take the next step to it.